Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Nutrien. Nutrien, feeding the future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. We also like to welcome the listeners to WQHL and WCJX radios for being a part of the audience today. My guests on the program represent the Greater Lake City CDC. We have the Executive Director of the CDC, Lester McKellum. We have Alonzo Galloway, Vice President of the organization, and on the far end we have Troy Wimberly, who is the President. We're going to talk about what the CDC does, how it helps people in home ownership here in Lake City and Columbia County. We'll also talk about a gala that's coming up in February to support this organization. We'll do that when we come back. Don't go away, you're watching Perspective.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Here on Florida Gateway College Television. These gentlemen are no stranger to the program Perspective. Lester McKellum is the Executive Director of the Greater Lake City CDC. Alonzo Galloway is the Vice President of the organization. Troy Wimberly is the President. Welcome again.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Let me ask you, for the viewers who may have missed the shows we've done in the past, what does the Greater CDC do? What do you hope to accomplish as an organization?
Our assignment was to prosper God's people. In the process of prospering God's people, we had to have a point of direction or how we're going to get that done. So it was revealed to us that home ownership for the individual is the best possible way to increase wealth in individuals and in families. So that's the direction that we took. Most people wanted to enjoy the American dream, and the American dream is actually home ownership. You know, that's what everybody want to accomplish.
Well, and for those who have houses, this is not on their radar, but for those who are renting or those who are having to go to a landlord or they're paying rent every month, this really hits home to them.
Yes, it does. It's a way to create, like I said, to create wealth, to build wealth.
Now, when you say that, how do you mean that? How, for someone who may be sitting out there going, I'm not sure exactly what he means by creating wealth, I think you mean equity in the property.
Yes, in home ownership. Yeah, well, when you're renting a property, a home, or apartment, you don't have any value. When you pay the rent, the money is gone every month. If you don't pay the next month, you got to pull up and leave. Well, actually, it's close to that when you're making a mortgage payment as well. But in the home ownership perspective, you do build equity. Over the years, even for a young family starting out paying a mortgage on a home, over a period of time, you build up equity in that property. You can use that equity as a wealth building process to educate your children, to prepare for your retirement. All of these things are relevant when you're talking about an investment. And home ownership is an investment.
Alonzo, let's talk a little bit too. You have equity in the home. You've got tangible property that you own. You can take out loans on the equity you have in the home to make improvements, so you can do other things once you have that home.
Yeah, sure. You can establish a line of credit, and you can do home repairs. There's more advantage when you own a home because you built that equity up in it for a rainy day. You know, maybe you might want to send your kids to college or something like that, and it's there.
Troy, what is the main sticking point where people don't get loan or don't even think about home ownership because they feel like maybe their credit isn't great? Is that the number one obstacle to owning a home?
Yeah, a lot of people, have credit problems, and one of the unique things about the CDC is that we provide credit counseling to help those who are renting homes to come to the realization that they can actually eventually purchase a home. So that's one of the downfalls is a lot of people have credit issues, and we're there to help them correct those issues and become homeowners.
What is the biggest trap that people get into? Is it putting too much on a credit card? How do they get into the credit nightmares, as some people like to call it?
It's the credit cards. Young people come out of college, they get their first line of credit and they continue to build credit, and they just use the credit that they have not responsibly. And so when it comes down to actually trying to purchase a home, their credit worthiness isn't there because they've overextended themselves.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of blame to go around, but do you think not learning about this in school, maybe not learning about it from your parents, and anyone can answer that, Lester's shaking his head. It's probably all the above.
Yeah, it is, Mike. Though not being responsible with credit is a big problem for any individual. You can overextend yourself. Looking at your income, you should consider keeping it in perspective with what you got coming in when you start making debt that's going out. So if you're making $200 a week and you owe $300 a week, you get in the hole. So you certainly don't want to have the negative. We want to stay on the positive side. Your debt to income ratio is one of those things you want to look at and keep that in perspective if you're looking to build wealth.
Well, let me ask you this. Credit cards are easy. But what trap do you get into when you said like you overextend yourself? Maybe you may have bought a refrigerator, or
Yes.
you may have bought, I don't know, golf clubs or something that kind of a luxury, but it costs $700, and then you add more to that.
Yeah.
The credit card only wants you to make a minimum payment.
Exactly.
Talk about that trap, because that's something that a lot of people
Well,
don't realize. The credit cards are not in it to make you happy. They're in it to make money for the credit card shareholders.
Most certainly. That's the issue. The credit card companies figure out how, I call it sucking your blood. Now, that might be a bad terminology, but once you extend yourself out and you're paying the minimum, on $1,000 debt, if you're paying just the minimum, it'll take you maybe 20 years to pay that $1,000 off.
Because what is the interest rate on some of these credit cards? 16, 17%?
I've seen some of them as high as 28%, and depending on what your credit level is, if your credit score is below 600, 550, 575, a lot of times your interest rate is probably 28%. You might not realize it, but that's the interest rate that you're paying on a debt. You're paying the minimum payment. Like I said, it's going to take years. You wind up paying for that $1,000. You might wind up paying $4,000 back over a period of years because of the interest rate.
And you think about you eat out a lot. You maybe put groceries on it, or you get an iPhone and you put it on the credit card, and those things. Troy, you're kind of looking at me like, yeah. That kind of snowballs, doesn't it?
It does. It's so easy to purchase now and pay later. And like Lester said, the minimum payments are what the credit card companies are basically asking for. Some of the minimum payments can be as low as $35 and as high as $50 or $60. And then you get in a trap of going to another store and you say, okay, I really need this, when it's only a want, and you purchase it and you say, I'll just pay it later. And it all adds up. Those little $50 minimum payments and those little $60 minimum payments can end up, if you have 6 or 7 credit cards, $200 or $300 worth of payments that you have to pay.
So, and that's where your credit score goes haywire, and you can't qualify for a loan now because banks don't want to loan you money if they think you're going to struggle to pay it back, correct?
That's true.
So talk about, and I don't know, anybody can jump in and talk about what you guys do to counsel people, because you can talk and talk and talk and talk, but there's got to be some things that you can do that help people to live differently, because obviously spending and spending and spending is not working. Alonzo is.
Well, credit counseling is part of the CDC mission, is to educate people on the value of credit. Now, I was reading an article just the other day that the credit card industry is a billion-dollar industry. And once you get trapped into that, it's very hard to overcome it. Give you a good example. You can have credit, but when you're getting ready to make a major purchase, such as a home, you need to just go ahead and not make any more debt, because the more debt you get in, that kind of decreases your chances of entering home ownership. And we encourage people, to go through this credit counseling. Is don't go out and buy that new car. Don't go buy that new furniture because you getting ready to qualify for a home. Wait till afterwards if you have to do that. So that's one of the things we try to educate the applicants on.
Lester, when you're counseling people, are you basically teaching them how to save, how to eat at home, how to live within your means for getting credit back to
address
life
the
support?
issue. Exactly, like Lonzo was saying earlier. You want to live within your means. We put everybody on a budget, not put them on a budget, but we discuss with them their income. We want to look at the debt, what you owe, your revolving credit, and we put all this stuff down on paper so that we can see where you are with your debt, with your income and your debt. So everything that, all the money that you spend need to be documented. We need to see, you need to see where you're exactly spending your money at. Once we do that over a 30-day period, we have a tracking device now that we can see how that you actually spending money, whether it's a need or a want. We encourage them then to try to take some of those wants that they're spending. Maybe it's a soda. Maybe you're buying 2 sodas a day. Maybe you're drinking 2 cups of coffee. Maybe it's potato chips. Maybe it's fast food that you could actually do without these items. We can see where you're spending $5 on a burger, you're spending $5 on $7 on 2 sodas in a week in a week's period. Those dollars can be taken. You can stop doing those things and save those dollars and put that money in a savings account and use that towards building wealth.
You make a good point, and you set it down to want and need. Everybody wants something. Right. Need is a little more. That's like eating, shelter.
Necessities.
A want would be a vacation.
A new shirt sometimes is a want. Just items. A boat. You actually don't need the boat, but you want the boat, and it's coming out of the budget that those dollars should be used for something more specific or to create and build wealth, add to a savings account. Banks want to see that you're responsible with your revenue, that your income, that you can actually to pay back a mortgage that they would extend to you for a home ownership. So.
Now, outside of all of this helping people qualify for a mortgage to have a home, you guys also build homes.
Yes.
And you've got a project now called the Sweetwater Apartment.
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about that project.
It's one of the programs they've been working on since 2017. We started implementing to bring this program into fruition back in 2017. It's actually a minimum of 56 units, affordable housing, and market rate housing to provide housing for people that are needing housing here in the community in Lake City, Florida. There's a shortage of housing, and most certainly affordable housing. When I say affordable, I mean that we can get you in there probably $150 less than what the current rate is. We have a set aside of probably 12% of the units that are going to be constructed for low income individuals. The rest of the units will be renting at market rate. And it takes, as you know, it takes a great deal to develop this volume of housing. And we prevail upon and work with the city of Lake City. Is actually providing revenue in kind or in cash to do this 56 unit. Columbia County has also kicked in to help us, assist us in the process, and Columbia County provided the land for the CDC to develop this 56 unit. And we have a developer that we're working with out of Orlando. One is the Tampa, St. Pete area as well, that's going to provide the revenue, or most of the bulk of the revenue, along with local banks. We have a local bank, which used to be People's State Bank, now it's Drummond. We have a line of credit with them as well for the revenue to provide to build the 56 unit.
Now, is the end game for these the people who really need a place to stay, then to develop those folks into homeowners eventually? Is that the hope at the end?
Yes, that's what we want to do. In the end, this effort that we have to provide affordable housing, we are rent to those people that come in to rent. And over a period of maybe 2 or 3 years' time, we want to have them in a program that we can build their credit to the point that they can become homeowners themselves. They won't be permanent renters, but while they're there, if they so desire, we encourage them to prepare themselves for home ownership.
All right. Yeah. We're talking to the folks who are responsible for home ownership for those who are in need and who may not be able to afford it through bad credit situations. It's the Greater Lake City CDC. We'll continue our conversation and talk about a fundraising event coming up for the organization when we come back. You're watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream, that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. That was the quickest change that I've ever seen in this doing this show. We now have a lovely rose between two thorns. We have Marianne McKellum, who is Lester's wife and also a representative of the Greater CDC. And Marianne is, we're going to talk a couple things. First about the Young Women of Excellence program that is going on. Tell us a little bit about how we need to get more women involved in not just relying on a guy to help and get married, but maybe a young woman who may not be ready to get married and maybe say, I want to own a home and be on my own. Talk about that.
Well, the Young Women of Excellence is actually a part of one of the programs that we offer through the Greater Lake City Community Development Corporation. And that mentorship program came in fruition through partnering with Columbia High School. And the reason that we came up with this program is because we found out there was a lot of young women that had leadership skills and abilities, but they were dealing with life issues, so they didn't know how to channel that energy into something positive. And that's where our focus came in, to be able to direct them in that direction, letting them know that, hey, they can be leaders in the community and they can succeed and move forward. And through our program, we actually have several young ladies that's off in college. They were a challenge when we first started, but they, got themselves together and now they're off at school. We've even gotten some younger girls that's interested in the program in the elementary school. So starting them off early, letting them know that, hey, look, you can have your skills, your talents, you can use them, learn how to budget at an early age, you know, and there's a lot of things you can work toward. What we're in need of really is mentors. As you recently know, within this year, we lost 2 of our mentors from the high school. Miss Terry Thomas and Miss Ruth Williams were very instrumental in working with the young ladies through the school system. But we do have young women mentors that are in the community. And if you're interested in becoming a mentor, we would love to have you because we need these.
So there may be some people out there saying, well, what do I have to do? I mean, is it going to be, do I have to just be a friend, or can I talk over problems? Because, you know, teenagers are challenged. There's peer pressure, there's all kinds of things going on that affect them.
Right.
So tell me what it takes to be a mentor.
Well, since you brought that up, right now we're doing campaign bring awareness to suicide and mental health issues. So right now we're saying, you talk, we'll listen, you listen, we'll talk. And that's letting young people know that, you know, we care. You're not the only one that are going through what you're facing, but there is a way that you can approach these issues and not have them to overwhelm you. So we're looking for someone to be a positive role model, to guide them, to be a listening ear. You know, like I tell my young ladies, my cell phone very seldom is turned off. If you need to call and just talk, and I can just listen, or if you need to just go out somewhere and just spend some time away from your environment, you know, we're available. So that's what we're looking for, someone that's willing to dedicate some of their time. It's not a 9 to 5, it's not 7 days a week, but it's whenever someone needs you. So we're trying to assign so many girls to so many counselors so that it wouldn't be overwhelming for the mentor. So, you know, you may have 3 girls, you may have 5, but it depends on your availability and how you can provide the counseling.
You know, parents, kids think they know everything. Yep. They don't think their parents know anything. So it's very difficult at certain ages through school to communicate with your parent, because this is the human nature. You realize it when you're older that your parents really loved you and they cared about you. Why is it important for a third party to be there? Do you feel like the students kind of really open up, and if there is an issue, they're likely to work it out through someone that is not their family?
Right, they are, and in most our cases, they're single parents. We have single fathers, we have single moms, and their biggest efforts is trying to keep a roof over their head and food on the table, so they really just don't have that time to just, you know, contribute to just all around, you know, mentoring their children and actually preventing arguments. Some of them just need that space away from each other, and we offer that availability for them to come even to the center and just spend time there on the computers, or just away, read a book, just quiet time, or someone to just meet them and talk, or take them out to dinner or something like that and spend some time with them. We know that suicide is on the rise, not only in the high school, but even in the middle school. So what we're trying to do now with the campaign is to bring awareness. We have the ribbon, wear green, in reference to this, to let people know that we need to bring some, make it aware that it's easier to talk about now than it used to be, because you're not the only one that's going through it.
Well, and you know, we're much older than the students that are in school now. We didn't have to deal with these type of issues. There was some bullying back in the day, but now it's very different. With the school shootings that occur all over the country, and the mental health issues that a lot of students have to deal with, it's a different time. And you're right that having a mentor and having this program will help save kids that normally would have gone down the wrong path. Now, your baby, is called the Black Tie Banquet Masquerade Ball. It's the 15th annual ball. Talk a little bit about, this is the major fundraiser for your organization.
Right.
What's it all about?
Well, the program and services that we offer, we don't charge for these services. We make them available to anyone that are interested. We have partners like we work with Florida Crown, we work with Super 8 has been our sponsor for the last 3 years with our banquet. Target has sponsored our Young Women of Excellence through the mentorship program. And what we do with the banquet is give the business and the community people an opportunity to give back through this, so that it helps support our community, our programs that we offer, so it makes us easier to make it easier for us to reach out to other people.
Well, you know, you look at what you folks have done. You're on a small level. Yeah. It could be much bigger. You could do more, but it takes money to help do these type of things. So the Masquerade Ball is Saturday, February 22nd at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
It's sponsorships are available. You can purchase tickets by a number of ways, calling couple numbers 752-9785 or 965-0333. There's the office number that you can get tickets. The office is located near Cedar Park Apartments, off of Northwest Bascom, Norris, and I believe Highway 41 is at that intersection there.
100. Highway 100.
100. Yeah. For those who old timers like us that remember Highway 100. We're going to take another break here on Perspective. We're going to wrap things up when we come back. Don't go away. You're watching Perspective on FGC TV.
The Dog's Way Home is the story of the extraordinary lengths a dog will go to in order to get back to their family. Every year, millions of dogs and cats end up in shelters and rescue groups. We found our Bella at a shelter in Tennessee. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover they're all pure love. Adopt pure love and help a shelter pet find their way home at theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Perspective on FGC TV. I'm Mike McKee. I'd like to thank the listeners to WQHL and WCJX Radio for being a part of our audience today. The Greater CDC is the topic, and we're about to wrap things up. They're an organization that does very good things for folks who may be in a little credit trouble, that it raises them up out of the credit issues that they have, gets them on the right track for home ownership, which is the American dream still, even to today. Having your own home, having your own property is a dream for a lot of people. They've got a big fundraiser coming up on the 22nd of February called the 15th Annual Black Tie Banquet and Masquerade Ball. Mary Ann, you said that you're going to do a VIP reception for the sponsors of this as well.
Right, 5:30 to 6. Any sponsors that did 500 and above will be able to come out and network together prior to the door opening at 6 to the public. Our catering is done by Super 8 again this year. We appreciate them for their sponsorship. We thank the police department, all our sponsors. I don't want to call names now because I might miss somebody, but if you sponsored us in the past, we appreciate you, and we still look forward for your continued sponsorship with the Greater Lake City CDC Annual Fundraiser Banquet, because it helps us to help other people in our community. And our entertainer is from Jacksonville. It's jazz. It's Pierre Kendricks, saxophone player and company. He will be there that night to entertain us.
Right. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for watching Perspective. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. So long.